Bromley, how the fuck are you? It is hot out there again today, kids. I've actually just jumped out of the shower. That isn't all sweat, I promise you. This video is called 2 W's in one day. I'm talking, of course, about the first team winning at Kelmont Road yesterday 5-0 against Bromley, and also winning in the evening 2-0 against National League Southside Dartford. I wasn't at the Kelmont Road game, however, I was at Prince's Park, but I'm going to try and give you a little bit of a roundup of both of those games in this video. So the club kept this one quiet. I didn't know about the game. I was going to go down there, but I thought that's a little bit busy going to 2 games in one day. Plus, it was about 9 million degrees outside without a tiny hint of sun. It was horrible. It was sticky. So I didn't go, but they won 5-0. The team was this: George Long in goal. 3 centre-backs: Ryan Leonard, Sean Hutchinson, Alex Mitchell, Scott Malone, left wing-back, Hayden Muller, right wing-back, George Evans and George Saville, centre midfield, Zion Fleming in a 10, and up front, Isaac Alafe and Mason Bennett. So as we now know, Gary Rowett opted to play 2 different teams yesterday. I'm just sure he wants to get more minutes in the tank for as many people as possible, and it did work out. Lots of people pissed off, including myself, that Fleming didn't appear at Dartford. I'm sure there was a reason behind that. I did say that in my post-match video, and there was a reason. His work permit has not yet arrived. Let's hope he gets there in time for the 30th of August. But he couldn't play in the game. Of course, he played at Crystal Palace, but that was at their training ground. And of course, we played Bromley at our training ground. So I'm not sure what the T's and C's are, but he obviously can't play in people's stadiums until his work permit has arrived. Maybe because you charge at a stadium, whereas you don't at a training ground. I don't know. Must be saying along those lines. So Fleming played in a 10. We won the game 5-0. George Evans scored 2 in the game. And this is my first apology of 2. Because in my video the other day, ratings and review, I give George Evans a terrible review. Said he didn't do a thing in the game. Now, my mince pies are not what they used to be. Especially now in the new kit. No names on the back. Players switching squad numbers. That long crossfield ball that George Evans actually knocked in the build-up to our goal, I thought that was Ryan Leonard. So I hold my hands up on that one, apologise for that. I don't want to lose my job over it. So apologies to George Evans on that one, because he did knock that lovely crossfield ball on reflection, and I will get a new glasses appointment booked in as soon as possible. And he scored 2 yesterday. One was a cross that he never ever meant to go in, but it looked like the greatest Eric Cantona-esque dink ever over the goalkeeper. And one was a really nice free kick. Mason Bennett's goal was the other one that I saw, firing a left foot shot straight into the roof of the net. Great strike from Benno. And again, strength in depth. Seeing him play up front with Alafe, still scoring 5 goals, whereas the 2 first choice strikers only managed 1 between them last night. But I'll get onto that in a minute. But look, 5-0 yesterday, fielding 2 different strong sides, and it's nothing but good news in my opinion. Gary Rowett has said he's hoping another player will be through the door in time for Colchester away on Friday, and also he's hoping that Fleming's work permit turns up in time for a trip to Essex on Friday. And so we move on to last night's game at Prince's Park. It was near on a sellout. Nearly 4,000 people turned up there on a Tuesday night. It was absolute bedlam. But I went to Wimpy and Welling, managed to get Parks out on the verge outside, and just walked in there like a fucking legend with 1 minute to kick off and sat in the seats right on the halfway line. I'm not sure I managed that really, because there was people absolutely everywhere. Someone said something to me on one of my group chats, and I'm not going to pass judgment on this because I can't be bothered to dig up this can of worms unless we need to. But if that game was at the Den last night, probably would have been about 1,500 people there. The fact it was in Kent, when probably 75% of our fan base live, meant it was 4,000 people. Honestly, it was chaos in there last night. There was people everywhere. So I'm not saying we're going to move to where the new training ground is going to be in West Kingsdown. However, it could happen, and if it does happen, I'm not going to say, well, I think that's a good thing or a bad. Of course, Millwall Football Club is where Millwall Football Club is. But just something to look at, just passing judgment on what my mate said. If that was at the Den, 1,500 people, down where 75% of our fan base live, you get a big, big crowd. And was that bumper crowd disappointed? I've got to be honest, it wasn't the greatest game in the world. I was expecting us to absolutely tank Dartford after they shipped 6 on Saturday against Charlton. It didn't happen. We just didn't really get going in the first half. Tyler Bury kept dropping deep, as I said in my video yesterday, and making the wrong decisions, or, you know, not picking the right pass. He isn't solely to blame, of course. It just wasn't a good first half. Afobe scored 1. Then the second half, at half-time, Millwall come out early, followed not by Dartford. They didn't turn up. I don't know what was going on. But in this meantime, and I'm going to bring this up because I never do this at the time, similar to Birmingham away, and the amount of people that crucify me for filming at football matches when I only really do a full-time reaction these days, Crowd trouble, right? Listen, I'm going to tell you this early because the only reason I'm talking about it because it was on Twitter. People going, it proper went off at Dartford last night, bruv. Let me tell you, there was bods everywhere. There wasn't. There was children. And there was no fucking trouble at all. There was a parting of seeds. You've never seen two sets of people behind the goal run as fast as they can in different directions. It was kids. That's all it was. But the game got a little bit delayed at that point. Then the second half started. Then there was a head injury about 5 minutes later for a Dartford player. He was down injured for about 10 minutes. Then he comes off. Then we got going a little bit. Mitchell slots in Bradshaw. He's unlucky. Afobe tests the keeper. I think Charlie Creswell hit the bar. Cooper had a chance. He could have headed in, head it wide. And we start to turn the wheel a little bit. Then, same thing happens again. Loads of 15-year-olds who are running around behind a goal. Big bad Bart's over there, along with Cooper, trying to calm things down. Eventually, game restarts. Tyler Bury scores a banger. Absolute banger, which is, as I said, this guy frustrates me because at times he does some really stupid basic errors, but at others, absolute brilliance from him, and he enjoyed that as much as the rest of us in the ground. That's 2-0. This is my second apology because I follow the under-23s of interest, and I'm watching all the under-23s warm up at half-time, and what happens is they bring on Nana Boateng. Nana's had a new trim. I thought it was a Coley, but it was actually Nana Boateng playing left wing-back, although he's more of a right winger, sometimes a left winger. But listen, Nana's a fantastic player. I love him to death, and it was him that come on. So that's my second apology for a second player mistake. So I'm definitely going to Specsavers on the back of that one. But look, 2-0. Good performances all round. Minutes in the tank. People were coming up to me last night and having a chat with me. A lot of you was asking me to mention Besart Topoloj. Don't bother getting a left-back gal. I think we found a long-term replacement. He was brilliant again last night. He done really well against Crystal Palace the other day. And I'm excited to see him going forward, how he progresses. So for me, Besart Topoloj, the number 40, everyone was calling him last night, but it was Besart Topoloj, had a really good game. Left wing, Nana Boateng was brilliant as well. And again, we're expecting signings in this week. But for me, Bez has definitely got to be around it now as a potential starter, or definitely, you know, ease him in gently, give him a few games this season. He done really well. It was an okay performance. The sky was beautiful. We scored 2 goals. We didn't concede any. That's a good thing. And we move on to Friday against Colchester. And that's a video I will save for another day. I'll probably put a preview out Thursday for that one. I can't make Colchester on Friday, so I will be live streaming and we'll do a watch along for that one. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sweating my tits off. Please subscribe to Lions TV. Come on, you Lions.